Yo, what's up guys? Universal Mastery. So, what I do on my channel is I talk about the occult sciences and I break them down to a very practical level so that you can use them in your day-to-day life and get real, actual results. Now, what I'm going to be talking about in today's video is something that I think is very important for you to understand and to learn a little bit more about. So, what we're going to be talking about in today's video is the true nature of a demon, of what the spirit of a demon is. What is the true nature of it? Okay, so if you want to know a little bit more about what I'm talking about, then stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is definitely make sure you go and you check out my Patreon. On my Patreon, I have exclusive content and I post exclusive content weekly that is not on my YouTube channel. And I already have a vault of videos that are on there. Half of that content is going to be geared towards actual practices, very important things that you need to know, where I perform them myself and I teach you how to do it yourself so that you can get some real spiritual progress going on for yourself. And then the other half of that content is going to be called Educational Entertainment, which is a video that's very similar to this. The video is going to be entertaining, but it's also going to be very educational. You're going to get a lot of value from it. So where you're going to be able to find the link for the Patreon is if you go to the description, you're going to click that drop down and you'll see that first link at the top. It says My Patreon right next to it. Click that link. It'll take you right over to the Patreon. And in order to gain access to the exclusive content, you have to at least be a tier 2 member. So in order to be a tier 2, it literally costs $9.95 a month. And that is a reoccurring payment. But if you do the math, that literally only comes out to less than $1 a day. So there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be able to afford it with the value that I have on there. So definitely make sure you go and check that out. And as you go up in tiers, the benefits increase as well. So I'll let you check that out for yourself. And I would like to give a special shout out to the top tier members already. Their names are going to be mentioned in the parentheses below that link. Okay. So without further ado, going right into this video. So, I'm pretty much just going off the cuff. None of my videos are scripted. I usually will go in with a certain idea of what I want to talk about, and then I just, share my personal experience and share the things that I know on the subject, because I do study a lot and I do apply these practices myself. So I do have personal experience with whatever it is that I'm talking about. And then, for recent studies that I've been doing, I've come across some information about demons that I think, I want to share, because we live in a society where a lot of people think they're evil, and there's a lot of misconstrued ideas about demons in general and about what that spiritual energy truly is. And people don't talk about the true nature of demons, and they don't talk about the benefits that you can get from actually working with them. Once again, most people have been indoctrinated by some form of religion and have been told that these are evil spirits and that you should stay away, but when in reality, that's not exactly the case. And if you subscribe to that belief system, then you're actually going to be prey for spirits that are out there, like demons. They could, demons can fall in that category. So I'm going to make this video short. It's not going to be too crazy long. But let me go right into it. So the true nature of a demon is it takes energy, being the masculine principle. So the masculine energy that either a female or a male carries, it takes that energy and it gives it to the feminine spirits. So when we're talking about demons, we're more so looking at the Infernal Hierarchy, the Clipothic spirits. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, the Infernal Hierarchy is one of the most powerful. It is literally the most powerful hierarchy. It is what rules everything on earth here. And the dark feminine energy is the most powerful energy that there is. So they will take the Ars Goetia, the 72 Ars Goetia, will take the male principle, the male energy, whether it's from a female or a male, and it will take that away and it will give it to the dark feminine spirits. So that could be spirits like Lilith, that could be Hecate, that could be essentially like Tiamat. There's many different aspects that fall under that dark feminine current. But the moral of the story is that the Ars Goetia, by their nature, they take away the male principle and they give it to the female entities. So basically, they feed off of people. But when you are thinking that they're evil and you're approaching it as something that you want to stay away from and not diving into and not working with, then you're most likely being fed upon. They're taking the male principle away from you, and you're in a state of ignorance still. So you're like, what's going on? I don't really know. Like, you know, you're probably just in a state of ignorance where you think these beings are evil. So when you work with them, they teach you. So when you start to do invocations, when you start to do evocations, which are very similar, the difference between an invocation and an evocation is essentially where you see the spirit in front of you. Your intention is to see the spirit in front of you and have it communicate with you. An invocation is when the spirit is inside of you, communicating with you through your own, you could say through your own spirit, through your own consciousness. So when you start to work with them, then they can serve you. They can actually, it's just as I'm saying, they work with you, and that's actually part of their nature as well. But you have to work with them in order to gain that value from them. So if I'm walking around from a religious perspective or from any type of perspective of ignorance or indoctrination where I'm thinking these beings are evil and out to get me, I'm just going to be fed upon by these beings, because these beings are everywhere. There's 72 Ars Goetia, and there's even more demons that aren't necessarily understood or talked about, which I don't personally know. There's, you can discover some. I mean, you can think how ancient they really are, but they're everywhere, and they have so many attributations to everything around you. So they literally are everywhere. So you're going to be fed upon them if you're not working with them. So you might as well take that step. And this knowledge is meant to be understood worldwide, but this is part of the reason why there's such high levels of indoctrination, because it keeps people in a lower state of vibration or a lower state of awareness, so that they can be fed upon, and then that energy can be channeled to the people that are considered the 1%, or the people that are actually using these powers. Okay, so you might be thinking, okay, well, if their nature is to take away the male principle, when you work with them, how does that differ? Like, what changes? So this is what happens. When you work with them, they still at first will take away your male principle, but when your male principle is taken away, that makes you more feminine. That means you have more feminine energy left in you, and we all have both energies. And when you're in that feminine state, that is more so of a receptive state. So now that you're in that state, let's say you're working with one of the Ars Goetia, they take away that male principle. You're new at doing invocations, they take away that male principle. Now you're in a feminine state, which means you're more receptive to learning from that spirit, to learning the knowledge or whatever value that spirit can teach you. So now you're actually in a state of learning more. You're like a sponge now. And as you learn more, as you start connecting dots, and as you start doing certain types of visualizations, because this is a natural process that will take place when you start doing invocations of these spirits being demons. And even if you go a little bit higher up, if you start working with the dark gods, so that would be Lucifer, that would be Samael, that would be Lilith, that would be Hecate, that would be Asmodee, some of the higher spirits that have a little bit more authority, you're going to start learning things at an accelerated rate in a very deep way. Meaning you will find your state of mind beginning to shift into states of mind that you probably have not experienced before. And in those states of mind, it's a very astral experience, meaning you start to create things in the astral that eventually manifest here in the physical. Okay? So this is one of the things that will happen when you start to work with them. So I'm going to use an example of working with an Ars Goetia. You will start working with them. They'll take away the male principle. They'll feed it into the feminine current of the dark feminine current. Okay, and remember, this is black magic. This is dark. This is why black magic is so powerful, because the dark feminine is literally the most powerful aspect of, you could say, source. It is the most powerful energy there truly is. So they'll give it back to the feminine, and then they will teach you things in that receptive state, and then you will learn new things and you'll develop more power. And a lot of the times what will happen is they will lead you to other spirits, whatever spirits that you need to be led to, and this is assuming that when you're working with them and when you're invoking them, that you're asking to develop yourself, that your intention is you want to become a better you, or a more powerful you, or a more, you could say, a more improved version of yourself. And with that intention and going into the invocation, asking the spirit, the intelligence, you want to think of these things as intelligences because they are intelligent. They have their own intelligence. So when you approach it from that perspective, they will guide you where you need to be guided to develop yourself in the most effective way possible. And this process will eventually lead you to forms of path working that will eventually develop your power. Okay, it will develop your state of awareness, your understanding, your ability to travel to different planes and go to the astral plane and set yourself up for success so that it actually manifests here. And as you develop yourself in power, you gain more authority. You literally become your own type of deity, essentially, and that can be connected to your inner daemon. And this is a very deep process, and this can go very deep, which I'm not going to go into, which I do talk about in some of my other videos, but I will be making some future videos on this subject about how to really strengthen a connection with your daemon and how to build that and actually how to do it. Like, how do you do it? And what is the process of awakening your daemon, essentially? Okay, and I probably will put that. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I probably will put that on my Patreon. So as you're gaining power, you're gaining more authority over, you could say, the lesser spirits, which would be more so like the Ars Goetia. So as you develop your power, they don't take away that male principle anymore, because you've developed yourself to a point where they can't do that. They just serve you now. So when you need help in life, when you need guidance, when you need something to happen, you can literally use that spirit to go out and do that for you, and then it comes right back to you. Because essentially, as you develop yourself and you gain more power, you become an androgynous type of being, meaning you are masculine and feminine. You're not one or the other. Whether you're a man or a woman, you are both. You have masculine and feminine, and it's pretty much balanced itself within you, so that, you know, so they don't take the male principle from you. They will take the male like for everyone else that they're taking that male principle from, because remember, that's their nature. It will come back to you energetically. So you're actually gaining energy all the time, and you're pretty much able to feed off of that energy, which can cause you to create the things that you want. And once again, they're just they just help you. You know, they begin to serve you. You begin to see, as you study about them, you begin to see how they operate in your life and how they pop up in your life, and what, you know, and you can literally, I mean, you have a lot of freedom. You know, you can do what you want with that ability. Like, you can call one of those spirits up and you can say, hey, can you go and do this for me? I need you to go and do that. And then, you know, it can be that simple, okay? Because you've developed that power. But remember, this ability to develop yourself to the point, or to the extent that I'm talking about, is a hard process, and it's not an easy process. It's a long process, and it's a tough process, and it will, you know, once again, with great power comes great responsibility. So all of this has to be earned, and knowledge, you know, is the starting point, and that's what you get taught in the beginning, and then you learn how to transmute that knowledge into power. Okay. So yeah, so so this is the general idea. So they're really good at, this is what they do by their nature. We're talking about the Ars Goetia, or demons in general. They suck energy from people, more so people that are ignorant, people that don't know, people that look at them as evil or enemies, and they're taking energy from those people, the male principle specifically, and then they give it to the feminine deities, or the feminine entities, the feminine currents. That's why most of the Ars Goetia are all men. Most of them are all men. If you actually do some research, you'll figure that out. They're all male deities, or male spirits, I should say. So another thing that they're really good at is they're really good at removing. Okay, this is important to understand. They're really good at removing from your external reality. Really good at removing from the physical plane, from Malkuth, from the world around you. They're really good at removing things there. And they're also really good at removing things about yourself that you don't want. They're really good at removing. And what they do when they remove in return is they add to the soul. Okay, they add to the soul of the person, which is something that many people do not understand. Okay, this is why the current working with black magic and going essentially walking the left-hand path is so important and so powerful, because in order to really establish a connection with your daemon, you have to have a very strong soul. And the way that you do that is by working with demons, specifically, usually the Ars Goetia. And they will be removing things from your reality that don't serve you. They'll be removing things within yourself that don't serve you, meaning certain types of beliefs, certain types of mindsets, which is not comfortable, right? Because we hold on to these things. They'll remove certain people that you may think you want in your life, but are actually not in your best interest. They'll be removing things, but they will be adding to your soul. So not only are you more in a more receptive state when you're working with them, but they're now adding things to your soul, meaning they're teaching you deeper meanings about life. They're making you do deep introspection about what you truly want, what you truly like in life, who you truly are as a being, and what you want to be in the future, things in that nature, so that when you get to that point where you can establish a connection with your daemon, you have a strong soul that can create that connection. And for those of you that don't know what daemon means, that's divine intelligence. It's your own, you could say your own spirit that is directly connected with your purpose and with your soul, that every single person has, but there is a process to developing that connection, and that that own personal spirit has a very strong connection to the subconscious mind, to the unconscious mind, in the astral realm, and many other realms that I don't need to talk about right now. So it's very important to establish that connection, and really the only way you're going to be able to do that is with demons. And on the next video that I'm gonna do, I'm going to tell you the true nature of angels, so that you'll have an understanding of the difference between angels and a difference between demons, and you'll have an understanding of why it's important to walk the left-hand path if you really want real power. Okay, because the right-hand path, there are always going to be people that walk it, and it is very important that people walk that. But if you're watching my videos and you want real power, you're going to want to walk the left-hand path, because that is in reality, is a much more balanced path, and it is the true path to developing real spiritual awareness and real spiritual power, coming into contact with your own spirit, soul, and purpose, and developing a solid connection with that. Okay, so other than that, that's where I'm going to wrap it up. I think I shared enough on this video, and I think it's going to offer some value. So that's where I'm going to leave it. So if you like this video, definitely hit that thumbs up right down there, and then hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell right next to it, because I post videos as often as I can. And once again, the Patreon is going to be right when you go to the description. It's going to be that first link at the very top. It says my Patreon right next to it, so definitely check that out. Then the second link below is going to take you to my Facebook community. When you get to the Facebook community, when you click that link, you're going to see a pinned post that says private group here. Click that, request to join the private group. On the private group, I have content, in the form of written and in the form of pictorial quotes. So right now we're roughly at like 30 people in the group. Once we get to 50, I'm going to be posting on there consistently. So it's slowly and surely building up, but definitely make sure you get in on that so that you can get the value in there. And then, and that's going to be it. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day or night wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.